All right, so we are going to read only a small portion of the Iliad. This is a translation from Richmond Lattimore. The one mistake I often make is I want to put two L's in here. There's only one L. And Homer is credited with both the Iliad and the Odyssey. Again, this is an example of an epic. This is an epic of war, whereas the Odyssey is an epic of a journey. So, where our textbook offers this excerpt is actually from book 22, line 284. So, we're in the middle of it. I feel like I have to do a bit of explaining to have it make sense. So, the speaker here is Deiphobus. This is Hector's brother, but it's not really, because this is actually Athena in disguise. So, what has happened is the gods have fated or declared that Hector is going to die. And the gods kept intervening in the lives of these poor soldiers who were fighting. So, Athena is on the side of the Greeks, and she wants to make sure that Hector will win. And so she actually tricks him and persuades him to fight. There's a few references that are helpful to know. So let me go to this slide here. References. Remember, we talked about epithets when you refer to somebody in a different way. So if you see son of Peleus, that actually is, I suppose I should capitalize that, shouldn't I? Peleus, that's going to be Achilles. He is another hero. If you hear great city of Priam, that is a reference to Troy because he is the king there. And if you see a reference Achaeans, this is referring to the Greeks. So, one of the things that's dominant in this text is the concept of fate, that the Greeks just really had no control over the outcome. The gods are very petty. They'll get mad. They'll be in favor of somebody and against somebody else, and they figure out that person can die. Humans are just kind of like the pawns in these wars or arguments between the gods and goddesses. So it's like this giant game of chess going on. Ares is always coming along and stirring up hatred and anger. Hephaestus was involved because he made quite a bit of the armor. Athena is involved because she offers counsel. She's the goddess of war strategy and wisdom. And Apollo is on the side of the Trojans, so he is trying to help them. This definitely contrasts with our Christian view of who God is in our lives. So although we know that God is a jealous God and he wants us to worship him and worship him only, at the same time, he is loving and merciful and gives us so many chances. And that concept of love and mercy is something that never comes into play with the Greeks. And so as Paul went on his missionary journeys, and especially we know to, for example, the city of Corinth, Christianity was something that definitely interested them because suddenly here is this merciful God who loves them, and a completely new concept. As we read this particular excerpt, it's short, but I want to say something about what you would do with a dead opponent because that comes up here. So you would want to still show respect for that person and give them the honor that was due them. So there's some things that you could do. You would burn the body in its armor and perform funeral rites, and that would show respect and honor. Another option would be to keep the armor because you get the spoils of the war, and so that's good for you. But still, you would return the body to the friends or the family. Previously, what Hector had done was he had killed Patroclus, who was a friend of Achilles, and he had kept that armor. The final thing and the most awful thing that you could do would be to strip the armor and refuse to return the corpse. And so the family and friends would be unable to put the body to rest, to mourn properly, and all of that. So wait and see what happens here. So our textbook does give us a little bit of an intro here. During the war between the Greeks and the Trojans over Helen of Troy, Achilles, the greatest warrior of the Greeks, faces Hector, the best warrior of the Trojans. So I think just to help you keep that straight, we'll make a note here. Achilles is for the Greeks. And Hector, and his name is going to be spelled either Hector, depending on what translation you read, or Hector with a K. And he is from the Trojan side. Trojans. Hector has brutally killed Achilles' friend Patroclus, who was wearing Achilles' armor. And I just have to say something about that. Achilles was sitting in his tent, moping all this time. He was upset, and he would not go out and fight. So Patroclus borrowed his armor and went out and fight, and consequently got himself killed. So now the scene opens, and Hector and Achilles are meeting for battle. My brother, it is true, our father and the lady our mother, taking my knees in turn and my companions about me, entreated that I stay within. Such was the terror upon all of them. In a nutshell, that's saying father and mother, companions said, don't go out and fight. But the heart within me was worn away by hard sorrow for you. But now let us go straight on and fight hard. Let there be no sparing of our spears, so that we can find out whether Achilles will kill us both and carry our bloody war spoils back to the hollow ships, or will himself go down under your spear. So Athena spoke and led him on by beguilement. So remember I said as this opens, this is Deiphobus, who is Hector's brother, actually Athena in disguise. So she is pretending to be Hector's brother and encouraging him so that he goes and fights. Now as the two in their advance were come close together, first of the two to speak was tall, helm-glittering Hector. Remember, a helm is that short word in a couple of the epics we've read for helmet. So his helmet is shining. He's looking good. Son of Peleus. Remember, that's Achilles. He's addressing him. I will no longer run from you, as before this. I fled 3 times around the great city of Priam and dared not stand to your onfall. It's true. So what this great hero, Hector, had done was he had run around the city 3 times with Achilles chasing after him. Kind of funny, but now he's going to stand and fight. But now my spirit in turn has driven me to stand and face you. I must take you now, or I must be taken. Come then, shall we swear before the gods? For these are the highest who shall be witnesses and watch over our agreements. Brutal as you are, I will not defile you, if Zeus grants to me that I can wear you out and take the life from you. So right there, we're hearing about that belief about death. He is not going to defile Achilles if he's able to defeat him. But after I have stripped your glorious armor, Achilles, I will give your corpse back to the Achaeans. Do you likewise? So he's going to do the honorable thing. Then, looking darkly at him, swift-footed Achilles answered, Hector, argue me no agreements. I cannot forgive you, as there are no trustworthy oaths between men and lions, nor wolves and lambs of spirit that can be brought to agreement, but forever these hold feelings of hate for each other, so there can be no love between you and me, nor shall there be oaths between us, but one or the other must fall before then, to glut with his blood Ares the god who fights under the shield's guard. So basically, he rebuffs Hector's thought and says they're as hard to get along as lions and men and so forth, and he's not going to spare him anything. There's just going to be blood everywhere. Yay, Aries.